firstly, easy one, I guess, your reaction to the news last night that a loan agreement had been reached between Yorkshire and Colin Graves.
Inevitable, sad, predictable, given the lack of progress that the board had made and the club had made in change. Overriding anger with a big dollop of sadness.
Where do we go from here? Obviously, we know there's going to be an EGM called. I imagine you will cast your vote. How will you be casting your vote?
I would definitely vote to keep Graves out. I don't think many things get improved by going backwards in life. I think that we've got to find ways to go forward. I have a huge concern that Graves coming in, and if the rumours are remotely true, getting away with the members and making it a non-members club would be the tip of the iceberg, and one that the ACB would welcome. I mean, I can't shake a view that the ECB would love to go into a room with 18 county chairmen and finance directors and negotiate directly with them without having to go back to the members a financial package to grow the 100 and to impose Strauss's rules. So there's a part of me that's trying not to be a conspiracy theorist, but there's a big part of me that's saying that I can, looking back, I can see all the jigsaw pieces being put together that got to what is now probably quite an inevitable situation, and one that will be wrapped up along the lines of that Brexit issue of let's just get it done and move forward. And let's try and forget about the fact that we put a great board in place and we had some programs in place and Cavendish had some commitments from the ECB. And at the end of the day, cricket at Yorkshire hasn't changed. It hasn't changed when you go and sit there. It hasn't changed on the field either, really.
Why are you so vehemently opposed to Colin Graves returning to Yorkshire?
Well, I have to be careful. I mean, I've never met the person. But I think that if you have been involved in something during a dark period in a club's history, and you have vehemently denied that it was happening, to then put out something that says, "Oh, by the way, I'm now going to come back and I'm going to say sorry and accept that," just one of those can't be true. And there's an inconsistency, and I think that the moral compass that is required to see companies as large as Yorkshire should be through the next 5-10 years, which are going to be turbulent years as the amount of change rapidly comes into society, you need people that you can inherently trust. And I think the fact that Yorkshire hasn't changed and Yorkshire is still arguing and Yorkshire is still in a state of disrepair tends to say that there's a lack of trust there. So I would be against it for that reason primarily. I wasn't around for a lot of the history. I was living abroad, and you can't really criticize a character that you've never met. But a scenario, I think you can criticize, based on previous experience and exposure once you get past a certain number of years under the belt, as I have.
Yorkshire have said that they've explored various different avenues to bring in the funding needed to pay off the debt that they owe presently, and say that there's no other option but Colin Graves. How do you react to that?
Well, I have to quote people like Lord Mann, who say that they tried to introduce people that the board didn't listen to. Again, he says he did that. They say he didn't. They say they've tried every viable option. But I come back down to, I know there are other bits around it, but if the fundamental loan is 15 million, if you can't find 15 million in 2 years to keep a viable business going, then it's either not a viable business, you haven't tried very hard, or you've tried to fail. I would have a view on which of those three. I'd rather stay in the free world at the moment, so I'll leave it at that. But you're either incompetent, inept, or in bed with somebody. I think if you can't find 15 million in 2 years, and I am disappointed. I think that maybe a consortium of ex-players who have made a lot of money out of cricket and are passionate about Yorkshire, could have got behind and put something together. We see that happening in other sports. We see other sportsmen coming back into the game and buying clubs, or getting behind clubs, or giving clubs loans. So you sometimes don't look at what has happened. You look at what has happened to say, well, is there a reason behind that? And it's down to Yorkshire, but I think Yorkshire will forever be tainted as institutionally racist, that had a great opportunity to lead the way forward and be a pioneer of proper diversity and inclusivity. And they just seem to have got so far and done a 180-degree turn and said, no, we're comfortable where we are, thank you.
Finally, Chris, if you were to hazard a guess, which way do you think the members will vote?
I think the members will vote for Graves, because I think, a la the Brexit comment, they've had enough. Yeah, they want it done with. I think that going right the way back to the first meetings, there was a significant number of members whose priorities were get Test cricket back. They felt personally insulted at being called institutionally racist. They felt that meant that they were racist. They felt very sorry for Gary. They thought the sacking of the playing staff was wrong, and they thought that Azim was a chancer. And I think there was a strong undercurrent of that throughout the 2 years, both in and around the meetings and on the terraces. And if you're Graves, you know what you're doing. You basically say there's no membership, but there's a season ticket, right? You can have a season ticket to all the games, and you can have one for 3 years free in lieu of the membership. And we'll give you one ticket to every Test match. And that members lounge that we no longer need because we haven't got any members, we'll call it the Platinum Season Ticket Lounge. And if you vote now, you can have a Platinum Season Ticket for life. They'll do something, because the money that Yorkshire cricket generates, right, is nothing compared to what they think they can generate by doing what they want to do. So they've made money out of the loan, and they've made money out of cricket per se. So I think that will be the way it goes.